So the first question I want to ask about this game is, why is the phone important in it? Why is Jimmy using the phone to communicate with the games? Or why is the phone connected to the games in any way to begin with? Why is Jimmy using the phone in a game-related way? Why is the phone connected to the dance floor as well? Why is dancing? So there is in the phone also this thing of animals. Animals appear in the phone, little figures, creatures appear in the phone.
Wario often accesses his worlds via a map. For example, Wario Land 4 has him accessing the world via a newspaper article. So maybe I use the word map in a bad way, but it's like a photograph of where he's going. It's not literally where he's going. It's a representation of it. Wario Land 3, of course, has a similar thing. He accesses the world via a toy box version of it, a representation of it in toy buildings, toy mountains, etc. All becomes the actual world he's visiting once he's inside it. To access it also means to fall. He falls in Wario Land 4 into the pyramid. In Wario Land 3 he falls again. He falls twice, once from his aeroplane and once into the toy box and stuff. Wario Land 4 revisits this once he's in the pyramid because the main hall is the Hall of Hieroglyphs, a place filled with pictures and representations of the worlds where he's going to go. Once the pyramid opens, it opens to a picture of an eye, which, by the way, we're speaking about the pyramid within, so there are two pyramids, one outside and one inside. This reminds me of Wario Land 3. There is one world that is the toy box, and there's another world which is the world inside. So anyway, the pyramid in Wario Land 4 has an eye on it, thus expressing the theme of seeing, and the paintings in the Hall of Hieroglyphs and the hieroglyphs all require seeing to be interpreted and used as navigational tools. Behind the pyramid there are more eyes, this time inside the mouth of a beast. Let's consider, too, that this game features someone, the Golden Diva, who wears masks on top of masks. There is a face within a face. This is the same as the eyes in the mouth, I would claim. There is a set of eyes, therefore a person, within the mouth of another person. Persons within persons, pyramids within pyramids, that sort of theme. The helping figure here is a shadow, so in a sense the opposite. Not a person who is visible, but a person one can't see. Or even the shadow cast by a person, so this is also a figure of a person that belies a person behind it. A shadow suggests another person casting it. If I put my psychoanalyst face on, I can't help feel that this is part of what Wario resonates with, that is, the theme of the clown. Clowns often are people who joke around, get hurt, and their pain is part of the fun for the audience. I think Wario resonates this type, and so the game is maybe connecting the shape-shifting nature of masks within masks with the clown's painful actions. I'll try to explain. A clown is burnt on the ass, or is stomped by a giant weight, or is frozen cold by some ice. It's pure slapstick. Whenever one of these things happen, the clown's appearance is modified. Now they're on fire, now they're wet, now they're pummeled, now they're flat as a pancake. In a circus, a clown would pretend these things. This would be acting. So they wouldn't be burnt. They'd act the character who is burnt. It's a character. Clowns are therefore masks within masks, a multiplicity of characters, actors. A sad character, a happy character, an angry character, a greedy character. You could say also they are perhaps pure emotion. Wario suggests this, then, through his games. The key is, though, that the neutral character, the unburnt, unwet, unpummeled character, is also a character. There is no neutral character who is non-acted in a clown. Because the clown, before being assaulted by all the slapstick events of the show, is also a performative character, just as much as when he becomes hot by the flames or flattened by the weight. The game also applies this to the worlds themselves. As I said, Wario Land 3 has a world within a world. Wario Land 4 has similar themes, fake within fake. The artifice of these games is what I think allows them to use pain as a utility. If pain is just as much a fake phenomenon as non-pain, then the pained individual is not a mask but a real person. Fire-burnt Wario is not a different thing from normal Wario. So for example, let's return to WarioWare. Wario becomes a radio, he becomes a screen. Mario, when he gets burnt, he just enters into a burnt phase, but it ends quickly. Burning ass Mario is not really a character. Mario tends to have a home base, a home state, that suffers some transformation, like his butt is burnt, and then returns back to its original state. Wario tends to transform from one state to the other. He does return to the normal state, but this transition from one state to the other seems more like he's entering a new form, instead of it being like his old form being transformed. The thing I find interesting about this also is how Mario 64, for example, is an example of this. Mario has a home base, in this case Peach's Castle. That's where the game starts. And your home base suddenly suffers a transformation that is deemed bad, you could say, by the game. Peach's Castle is haunted by Bowser. This transformation lasts a certain amount of time, and then it returns back to the original Peach's Castle, which is considered to be the good state. And so this happens also in Super Mario Sunshine, the same sort of idea, where I think it's generally a Mario trope where the game begins in a certain home base, and the home base itself is transformed and then transformed back. Whereas in a lot of these Wario games, I feel like something else happens. Wario is home in his home base, but his home base is never where the adventure takes place. His home base doesn't transform into some other place. He goes from his home base to another place, and then he returns from that other place back to his home base. So there is always this theme of he's going somewhere else, and then he's returning, which I think is slightly different. And I think speaks to the two different ways in which the characters themselves deal with transformation, and how their characters themselves sort of interact with one another, or how they deal with pain, transformation, suffering, changing state, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Wario is evil. His evil is what makes his transformation be the kind where one state jumps towards another. There are things within things. His evil is part of him. He's interested in evil because he's part of the Mario franchise, by which I mean that his evil is coded as blah blah theory. What I mean is that he does what he wants. Mario does what he wants others to want. Maybe Mario wishes everyone were the same, that everyone wanted the same thing, love. Wario wants everyone to want different things, or like, he wants his own stuff. He wishes others would want different things. He wants others to be different. Because of this, maybe, he is surprised when he discovers that the other world he thought was so different is actually the same. So, case in point, Wario Land 3 Toy Box looks like a very different world from his world, but it seems like it's actually very much like his common world. Turning into a block of ice seems like a very different thing from not being frozen, but actually both of them are the same, in the sense that they're both just two things Wario can be. Mario, on the other hand, is surprised when he discovers that things are not the same, that they're different. So, for example, that Peach's Castle can become something different. Perhaps this is a story of self and other. Mario is surprised when self becomes other, when his own identified castle, what he considers home, is found to be a foreign place. Wario is, however, shocked when other becomes self, so the other way around. When other, that distant land over there that looks so different from one's own, happens to be basically the same as one's own, or is found to be a place one could identify with. Wario is about the fantasy world, the toy box appearing to be real. Mario is about the real world, the real brick castle, transforming into another ethereal sort of dream place. But yeah, anyway, so like Wario wants stuff, he wants to obtain stuff. He wants the other to become him, to absorb the other into oneself, the other being goods, wealth, for example. Interestingly, he often obtains wealth from unwealthy places. An unassuming oil lamp in the first game is a genie who grants wishes. An adventuring pirate holds a great treasure. A pirate not dressed in great wealthy dresses, but in unassuming clothes. So a pirate who doesn't seem wealthy from the outside turns out to be the carrier of great treasure. WarioWare is a great old song. He comes again in hearing sound. WarioWare is a great old song. He comes again in hearing sound.